Tennessee has been completely hot on the trail lately, that being in recruiting. Joe, kind of doing it in a very sneaky way, if you ask some, even though they're coming up on the top 5 class here. Joe, Josh Heupel is answering some questions in recruiting because I think a lot of people didn't really know how he would be able to do at Tennessee. But, man, he is rolling right now. Your thoughts on what the Tennessee Volunteers have been doing in this recruiting class?
Yeah, they have not been really given as much love as some of these other programs. Like, we spent time hyping up LSU, obviously because of you. We have to talk about LSU. We gave a ton of love to.
I mean, it's not his fault he stuffed Notre Dame in a locker, but continue.
We talked about Kalen DeBoer and how fantastic he's done already in his first cycle. Georgia's being Georgia. Notre Dame has put together a tremendous class as well, which they could end up losing Deuce Knight. But Tennessee, Josh Heupel, with all of these elite recruiting entities in the SEC, he is compiling a very, very strong class. Already up to 21 commits on the year. A couple of the guys that really stood out to me that they've gotten this past very recently, Lagonza Hayward, who's one of the top safeties, very, very gifted player. And then Deshaun Brame, the tight end. This is a very, very loaded class, especially when you look at who they grabbed not that long ago when they got a commitment from George McIntyre, the quarterback, one of the top 2025 quarterbacks. The other piece to this, just to finish my thought here, they are one of the top teams in contention for the best 2026 recruit overall in Faison Brandon. And it doesn't surprise me that a quarterback would look and see the production from Hendon Hooker and then eventually see the production from Nico this year and want to be a part of an offense that lets you put up 1 million yards and 1 million points.
Well, not only that, they did go in the portal and start securing a big part of their offensive line, getting a dude like Lance Hurd, Lance Hurd stands in front of the sun. You can just be in the shade under him. Okay, like that dude is a mammoth. He is a wide. He really. I swear to God, Tennessee fans, he has the potential to be the original Orlando Pace. He is that gifted if he puts his mind to it. So, Joe, not only have we really not or talked about Tennessee, but what they're doing in recruiting, even in the portal, they're able to do it. Look at the quarterback that they're going to run out there with this season. But getting the 5-star Matthews, the wide receiver, then going inside the state of Georgia and getting a top premier wide receiver and Travis Smith Jr., Joe, I got to start saying this, man. I don't know if Tennessee, who has, with Heupel, recruited very well on the front seven defensively, you go and get a quarterback like Nico, you get a 5-star wide receiver, you get Lance Hurd in the portal. Joe, they are getting some really good pieces. You know what this recruiting hype has made me do is go back and look at how well that they've done there. Joe, they have a potential, the way that they have built themselves, to be a contender.
They absolutely have. And that's where, as we've hyped up a number of these teams, I mean, Auburn is in this phase right now where they're building. You know, it's roster building. It's chipping away at putting together a foundation to improve every single year. They're a couple years away from being in the conversation of where Tennessee is right at the moment. It is the nice mix of what you pointed out there. Like Lance Hurd is a really underrated ad that didn't get a ton of attention during the portal season, which we didn't give it enough love even to make that point.
I did a lot, but not here nationally. Right.
The strong mix of finding the right guys in the portal to supplement effective and consistent recruiting, I think what really, I'll say, scares me. Not because like I'm scared, but the rest of the SEC should be very afraid of, is how aggressive and consistently they have recruited a quarterback. That's what I keep coming down to, is all of the quarterbacks on a year-to-year basis that they've received commitments from to this point just shows that they can funnel guys in on a year-to-year spot. Maybe some leave, maybe some go in the portal, but because they're constantly getting these high 4-stars, 5-star guys, there is always somebody up next. It's very rare for football programs to be able to do that.
Especially getting McIntyre and getting Nico. You know, like you got 2 high premier quarterbacks in 3 years. And that's what you normally want to do. I mean, I'm not saying skip a cycle, but sometimes you kind of have to when you're doing high school recruiting. Look, Joe, I mean, I do think that they'll be better than they were on field this season. They're a very interesting team that we have not talked enough about. You know, we've talked a lot about, Joe, the top, what we believe to be the top 12. Tennessee needs to start being in that conversation that we're not getting given enough attention to nationally. And you know what? If you're Josh Heupel, that is the best thing that can happen. Literally the best thing that could happen for Josh Heupel is what is happening here right now. But they will continue. Throwing this out there, I don't know how I feel about them at corner. Okay, if there is a weakness, there's your weakness. Anyway,
that doesn't surprise me considering we saw that was their huge glaring weakness that they had when they had Hendon Hooker 2 years ago and they beat Alabama, and then it just kind of fell out from underneath them because they couldn't stop anyone from throwing the ball all over on them. They haven't been consistent in recruiting corner. That's everybody seemingly has one position group that they can't recruit, and it seems like Heupel's one failure has been at corner.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's not missed upon me that Kirby is missing on top premier wide receivers in his own state. I don't care what Georgia fans say. Georgia fans flood this show on a consistent basis.
Yep.
And they love me and you. They cherish me and you. We could go to Athens right now and people would literally walk us around, and no way that
might be a little generous, but sure.
They love us, okay? They flood into the show. However, Kirby struggles there. So even the best have a position that they can struggle with. Now we'll say Kirby did flip 3 guys from USC. USC fired one right back, and Lincoln
took
got
one linebacker, and that was
but you know what it shows me? Can I tell you what it shows me?
Mm-hmm.
For once, Lincoln and them aren't like they've taken some on the chin. Joe, they also throwing punches too. You know, I feel like they're the boxer in a fight that's constantly getting beaten up, but then they throw that one shot. I'm telling you, Joe, it's more than what they've been doing under him in recruiting. And that's you can't
cool
argue
and all, but
okay.
It all comes back to what I keep saying about him. His recruiting is not far off from what Harrell was doing before him.
Okay.
Or Clay Helton. Sorry.
Okay.
This video is sponsored by the online fitness training camp presented by Chris Gates Fitness. When I first started talking about Chris, about partnering with our show, not only was I excited to have a fitness sponsor for our pod, but more importantly, when I found out about how he can help people achieve their goals, I was even more bought in, because when the football season starts, it is so tough to stay on top of things and also to be able to enjoy yourself on Saturdays when it's game day. With Chris Gates Fitness's online training camp, you're going to be able to effectively stay focused, consistent, burn fat, build muscle, and do it with a like-minded community of individuals working towards the same thing. On top of this, you're going to be able to get direct coaching from Chris and the ability to ask him questions with an access to a live Q&A where you can get direct personalized support from Chris himself. Don't wait any longer. If you're trying to get in shape during this fall and you want to be able to do it with the right support system, head on over to chrisgatesfitness.com/training camp or click the link in the description. And you need to do it today because you can get the first month. Personal training is expensive, folks. The first month for only $10 when you use that code RuffinoJoe. Don't wait any longer. Head on over there. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.